Hi, everybody. Welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today, Aaron, we're talking about Supremacy. Thy will be done.
Yeah.
Aaron, what's your favorite line of the Lord's Prayer?
I think there's some stuff in there about bread. I'm down with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, the
You know,
daily bread.
and I like a little bread to pocket too, if you know what I mean.
That's
The
true.
Lord will provide, brother.
It's funny how we always talk about old movies and stuff. They make all these references, these historical and cultural references that fly over the heads of many of us, including myself,
Yeah.
because we were educated in a totally different way than people were back in the 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
I think the same is true with the biblical references. Everybody used to know at least a little bit about the Bible, and these days you've got people that don't know anything about it. And it's. I wonder if you were to take some sort of poll and say, supremacy, thy will be done. Does that subtitle, do you think that that references anything? And I wonder how many people would have that base knowledge.
Well, I wouldn't, to be honest with you. Listen, I was your standard American, like, rural kid. When
Mm-hmm.
I was old enough, I went to Sunday school, and we sat
Mm-hmm.
through church every Sunday, and then it was rinse and repeat. Then church on Wednesday was a thing that we did. So we'd go to we'd have church on Wednesday, and then occasionally there'd be other church stuff. So it's a lot of church stuff, and then there'd be revival and all this other stuff. And me personally, by the time I was old enough to move out of the house, that was the end of me going to church. I'd had enough of that for a while.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me. I'm not a particularly religious person, but we did get that basis, as you talked about, in Sunday school. We learned all the minimal stuff you need to know, when you're going there. And so you're right. I guess I don't know what attendance is like at church these days. You figure it's up, down, or the same.
I think that there are a lot of people. It's sort of like the dead flowers theory, where it's like you grew up going to church. You still contain that knowledge in your head, that biblical knowledge. But if you grow up and you don't take your kids to church, well, they're not gonna have that knowledge. It's not gained through osmosis.
Yeah, that's true.
So
And my kid, his grandmother used to take him to church occasionally, but
mhm,
we've never gone.
yeah.
Occasionally we'll go to church, but very rarely. And so you're right. He doesn't have that the same sort of knowledge of that stuff. I mean, it's not the worst thing to know, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know where to come down on that. Like whether all kids should go to church, and I don't
Well,
know.
I want to probably steer it away from, going to church and religion versus so much of what Western civilization is built on comes from like the King James translation of the Bible in terms of like, literary references, points of contact in terms of story arc and things like that. And so the Bible as taught as literature, I think is one thing that we really have, it is a shame that people aren't always going to be familiar with, like Daniel and the Lion's Den, Bible stories, stuff like that. A lot of that stuff you can't use when you're trying to make an analogy when you're talking to a younger person all the time because they don't have that background.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. You're not wrong. I never really thought of it, to be honest with you. It's not really a religious point.
Well,
It's a
I
literary point.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And
um,
I didn't think about it until we started playing Supremacy. Thy will be done. Let's talk about it, Aaron.
oh man, here it is, Boat. It's
Yeah,
supremacy.
Supremacy. I needed the Lord for this week.
You know, listen, there wasn't a deity or Lord around that's going to guide me through this one. So supremacy. I will say let's call it what it is. Like when these sorts of games come up, me and Boat have a series of small heart attacks because we've got less than a week to try to figure out how to play these games. Sometimes we get lucky, figure it out. Sometimes we're completely clueless. And I will let the listeners and viewers decide which one it was this week. But we did play Supremacy, Your Will Be Done. which was a 1990 release. Now, there's also the USA exclusive release of this that was called Overlord.
Which do you think is a better name? Which do you think is a better name?
Overlord is a better name, and the box is better. If I'm honest, I think the box looks better too. But Supremacy's okay. But I actually owned this. It's funny because I don't know who I was talking to that said like, yeah, that was called Overlord in the States. I'm like, wait a minute, I think I got that. And
you have a bad streak of buying games that are way too complicated for you. Remember when you bought the Armageddon? You own that one too.
You're right. You're right on the target there. I do. So this one again came out in 90 over here. It's funny. It says it's listed as releasing in 91 in the U.S. I don't know if they took an extra bit of time, but I don't think there was much of a difference. This was developed by Probe, of all people. Probe Software, which is funny. Probe, a successful developer. Gosh, we've covered a ton of their games on this show. They did the Mortal Kombat series. They did Road Blasters, Primal Rage, Golden Axe, Heavy Metal. They did all the Outrun Europe, I think it was, T2. So they did a ton of stuff. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games, and of course Savage. We can't forget that. And this was published by Melbourne House. We've covered a couple of their offerings, Boat, over the years, including ARG, Double Dragon, Magic Johnson Basketball. I didn't realize there was a Rockford arcade game for the Amiga. Did you know that? That's one that they published.
Like the Rockford Files?
No, Rockford is the arcade version, or it's a different name for like, gosh, what was it? Boulder Dash or something. It's there's an arcade version, but it comes up with the Amiga, and Melbourne House made it. They also did War in Middle Earth, Xenon, a few others. This is copyright Virgin Mastertronic, coded by David Perry, who was responsible for Aladdin, AGA version of Aladdin, Cool Spot, and Savage. Savage, big game.
Savage was the guy. I think that was the last game that he wrote right before he wrote this game. So he wrote Savage, which is definitely not a 4X complicated strategy game. It's amazing to me the breadth of these guys and their talent abilities to be able to crank out games in such differing genres.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something else. I know which one's got the better tune.
Oh, yeah. Savage rules.
It ain't this one. This has a whole flurry of people that did the graphics on this. Neil Broody, Paul Daughtry, Hugh Riley, Mark Knowles, and the music was from Jerwin Tell. So what music there is, there's really only a couple tunes in this. This was a 2-discer on the OCS. The Amiga and the ST were your lead platforms as far as I could tell. It came out in 1990 for Amiga, Atari ST, and DOS, and the C64 got a version of this, and then it came out a couple years later on the NES of all things, which I thought was quite odd. This was a 29-pound, 99p number on this one, so the price tag was there, and this is a real-time strategy game. This is, and I was going to ask you if you'd heard this, Bode. This was billed as the first graphical, like, space supremacy real-time game ever-ish, with a butt. I heard this bandied around a lot. Did you hear anything about this?
I mean, I can see it. I don't know that I can recall another game that looks exactly like this that's played in real time. Yeah, I mean, I'd buy it. Sure.
In some ways, this reminded me of a graphical interfaced version of like an old door game I used to play, except a lot more complicated than the door game. So I'm just going to sort of talk about the background, Boat, and then we'll just get into the game. How's that sound?
Okay, man. Sounds good.
So the flavor text of this game is you are trying to sum this up in a nice way. You're as the dictatorial ruler of the Epsilon Galaxy. The player has obtained complete, indisputable authority. Right? This is from the book. However, during a scientific experiment in hyperdrive technology, Epsilon scientists discovered 4 buffer dimensions each containing a number of barren planets that exist between the Epsilon Galaxy and other alien dimensions. Unfortunately, the most powerful empires from these alternate dimensions have also just discovered these zones through their own experiments. That's a big coincidence right there, Boat.
Listen, parallel innovation is a fact.
Yeah, maybe it is.
It is.
So the player must battle these alien species for control of these buffer worlds to ensure that their rule in the Epsilon Galaxy remains intact. That's a pretty easy way to sum it up. And long story short, you're going to be battling other aliens for control of the neutral space between your two worlds. And if you take enough planets, you can ultimately get to your opponent's home planet. And once you've conquered that planet, you've vanquished your opponent. A pretty gory death scene at the end, if you've seen it. Depending on your opponent is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We should actually talk about that. So at the end of the game, your opponent is waiting for you outside of the commander's quarters. The door is open. The enemy comes in, and you just take out a gun and you blow him away. I mean, it's merciless.
Or melt him, or do any other number of. There's one for each bad villain in this. So the alien species you're going to go after effectively represent the difficulty level you're going to play, okay? It ranges from, like, I remember the first alien creatures are effectively described as complete idiots. I mean, they're total fools. Monkey people, I believe they're called. I think they're the Wotok, I think is the name of them.
Don't go Jimmy the Greek on us here.
Then you've got it's funny, Teresa was just repeating that line the other night. Smine, that's your second group. These are this is the second alien species. Then you've got the Karart, reptilian race, and then you've got the Rorn. The Rorn is sort of like the King Dong of aliens.
I prefer the Gorn myself.
Me too, because they're slow moving. I could outrun one of those guys. Boat, I mean, where to begin? Go ahead. I've talked for a while. This game boots up. You're presented with the vast, endless amounts of menus. How did you go about conquering this game?
I went about conquering this game by wildly flailing the cursor around the screen, just like I was having some sort of episode. Okay. I noticed that this is yet another game that has a lot of graphical icons without text. You know how much I love those.
Yeah, they're the best.
Yeah. And so this is a game that I did not get on with right away, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I am still getting on with this game or not. It's a very complicated game. Although I can talk about what you're supposed to do. I want to put over a fine fellow, Dan, aka Life School, over at LemonAmiga, who did a video review of this game, without which I would have not been able to play this game because he breaks things down. Did you look at the
manual?
No.
Well, let me tell you something. I thank God for Life School, because the manual was not what I would call easy to get through, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I did not look at the manual for this one. Whenever one of these games come up, there are two people that I always look for. One is Life School, the Lemon Tube Amiga, and the other one is now I'm totally blanking on the name, but he did he's another British guy. He's friends with Pac Billy, and he did the Frontier Elite 2 review that caused me to love that game.
I remember that guy too. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, in this game, this is a 4X game essentially. You are trying to explore, expand, exterminate, and extend. I always forget what the fourth X is. But anyway, you have a star base and you're trying to take over planets within the galaxy faster than your enemies can. You accomplish this by dropping farming probes down, by training your troops, by going to war, and by taking over planets. Your planets are green. Your enemy's planets are red. If you conquer enough, then you win the game. That's how it works. But before you can farm, you've got to terraform. So you've got to terraform your planets. This is a game that has elements of Sim City in it. There's a taxation rate. There's a whole economic side to this thing where you're doing population control, economics. There's a lot under the hood, but at its very, very basic level, you're trying to terraform planets so you can farm on them, so you can grow food, so you can feed your population, so you can turn them into soldiers, so you can take over other planets and eventually dominate the galaxy.
I think that's a a good summarization. I'm going to talk about what I did, and then maybe that will give some people at least a rough idea of how the game goes. So, first of all, this game, once the game starts, there is no more music until the very, very end of the game. So there's zero music in this. There is an occasional sound effect or an occasional verbal alert. For example, they'll say, alert, alert, or something like that. That means you're going into battle. So, I mean, the audio side, throw that out. The video side, it's 100% menus, all of it. There are some areas where you'll see a slight animation of something going on, like when you're in a battle or something. But generally, you're going to be shuffling through menu after menu. If that's your cup of tea, this is the game for you. I watched Life School's video, and he suggested certain things that I tried. I played, maybe 4 sessions of this game this week. And the first thing you need to do when you start the game is start learning how to get money, and which means going out and building something to generate food and some things to generate like mining material. And this is how you'll start the game to build up money. Once you start building up money, then you can start looking into training soldiers. You've got to start training them early. It's not as important on the first level as it would be on later levels because there's not as many planets to conquer. But you want to start building up these platoons of guys in 200 troop chunks. When you start building up troops, you'll get to pick the kind of troops they are between, like, you've got your Rambo-type troops. You've got these guys in, like, Iron Man armor. And then you've got these guys in this mega, like, crystalline armor. And you've also got 3 different types of guns. And they range. This will increase the price of how much it costs to generate the number of soldiers you need. So you got to have money. Eventually, when you've got enough resources, you can pick up the planet formatter, which is funny because this thing refers to making a new planet as double density formatting of the planet, which I thought was a pretty funny thing to put in there. When you buy these formatters, you'll pick up a planet out there that's been unmolested, and you will basically terraform the planet with this thing. It takes X amount of time. Everything in this game takes a certain amount of time. And while it's doing that, you're busying yourself with other things. When you get the planet terraformed and see what kind of planet you've got there, then you can decide what am I going to do? Is it going to be better to mine on this planet? Is it going to be better for food or fuel or whatever? And then you could shoot yourself up to the next planet, like Boat said, like stepping stones, and you can start working on that planet and raising up your money. The bad guy is doing the exact same thing on the other end of the galaxy, and so eventually, when you start training troops, you get a message that says, like, you've broken the treaty. Like, you were mad, basically. You don't care that they're mad because you're out to kill them. This isn't like a civilization where you go for peace. You're not going for peace ever. It's war. And so, eventually, you're going to get your troops together. You're going to have a troop transport built, and you're going to start moving troops upward, like Boat said, in steps to different planets, and the bad guy's going to start doing that too, and eventually you're going to tangle. It's a pretty simple formula. You get a big red line for your troops, the big yellow line, I think it is for the bad guy's troops, and effectively, these 2 lines do battle, basically. It's like just 2 lines. The more troops you've got, the better off you are. And eventually, when one line's struck down to 0, you've taken the planet. You get to claim whatever materials he's left on the planet, if any. And then you can use that planet to start amassing your forces for other planets. Eventually, you can amass a force that, theoretically, because I never did this, by the way, this last part, where you could go and take over your opponent's planet and outgun him, and then once you've done that, you've won the game. While you're doing all this planet hopping, as Boat mentioned, you've got to continuously keep track of the amount of food you've got, keep stuff fueled. Occasionally, these weird random events will happen that will destroy your stuff. That's always a good time. That happens to me a bunch of times, and for the longest time, I kept wondering where my money, where's all the food? What happened? Some storm or something blew up all my crap.
It's a lot like Mule in that regard. You know?
It is. And so people are pissed off or they're dying. Early in the game, I don't know if you had this problem. I couldn't get enough people, so I started having to drop the tax. Life School had mentioned that if you drop the taxes,
people will move in,
flourish more,
just like West Virginia.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Is that what's happening to us? And so we'll never know. So I did get enough people to get going, but it took a while. Now, with all that said, and that was a real loose, quick, and dirty description, there are plenty of parts of this game that I found puzzling, and it took me forever to figure them out. And I was going to ask you if you ran into the same problems I did, Bode. For starters, for the longest time, I didn't know how to put crew on the ship. The button is just this nondescript button. I couldn't figure out how to transfer money. I had all kinds of trouble because these buttons aren't labeled for the most part. And so you will have to sort of have your key or whatever set out to figure out what's going on. Again, at Life School, I could watch him so I could at least know what these buttons did. Did you have trouble navigating these menus, Bode?
Yes.
Okay, good.
It sucked. I mean, I come from a different generation, I think, than your 80s and early 90s strategy game player. I need tooltips. If I don't have tooltips, or if I don't have a keyboard overlay or something, I'm just not going to play. You know, I refuse to, because here's the thing. I watched Dan's video, and then I flailed about, like I said, trying to make things happen. And I got to the point where I was like, yes, okay, I understand how this game works. I understand what you're supposed to do. Yep. I understand the outcome. I'm done with this game. I'm not going to waste. We have a finite amount of time on this earth, and that time should not be taken up by playing Supremacy.
Well, now you tell me, because so I'm going to just discuss a few of the things I found annoying.
Okay.
One, the transfer of fuel and troops. And I will say, having watched Life School's video, he goes by this stuff at a brisk pace because he's played this game many times. So for a neophyte, even watching the video left me pondering things. How to get more people. How to raise my population. How and when to add fuel and people to various ships. How to make stuff work. I was just like, some of the stuff. You mentioned tooltips. If you had a gimmick, like in Windows, for example, or on the web, where you move the cursor over something and it would say, this puts people in your ship. That would go a mile. Now, granted, they didn't have that stuff back then. And I think they've made a newer version of this sometime in the last few years that may add that additional functionality, but this doesn't have it. It's too old. So that would have went a long way. Or just labels on the various buttons. I mean, not everything's unlabeled, but a lot of it is. Now, I'm going to talk to you about something that's a modern problem, so I'm not going to hold the game responsible for this, but it's pissed me off. As you go through the game, you're given opportunities to name things because they just give them generic names for your various farm cities and your various mining corporations, your various ships. And I'd been just letting them all be generic. And then eventually, with the first time I actually terraformed a planet, I was like, I'm going to name this planet. So in the game, it tells you to hit delete, and then you name the planet. Otherwise, you get the default name. So keep in mind, I've been struggling to get a planet. You know how difficult that is, especially for a dumb guy. And after I've terraformed my first planet, and I was going to name it, I hit delete, and it restarted the WHD loader, put it back to the menu, because that's the escape key
that
you use.
An absolute
it was brutal. I got on Discord. I did not behave well. I'm not going to lie to you because I was already having trouble. And all that work was down to toilet. It was brutal. And so I had to get back into it, build back up. But that's something you're going to look out for if you're playing on a modern machine with WHD load. If you don't rename stuff, there's probably a workaround, but I don't know it. Secondly, the minutia in this game, like as far as real-time strategies games go, this isn't the worst. It's not the most complicated. I mean, when you see it done and you get a loose grasp, like I was getting to the point where I could I moved guys to different planets. I had fights. I did okay. But the back end of it caused me trouble. My best game I had, when I went back to my first 2 planets, all the stuff on it stopped functioning because, like you said, the mule thing happened. And I wasn't even aware of it except for a little note that I'd missed because it does tell you, but I hadn't seen it because I had so much going on. There's a lot of juggling of tasks in this, and it can become overwhelming to me anyway. There's no flash or panache in this game at all. I mean, it's a straightforward, no frills game. Just occasionally you'll get, sometimes in the battles you see a little window of fun, but there's not much to it in that department. And they could have put something in. I mean, they had it surprised me that this was a 2-disc game. Let's just put it that way. I mean, what do you think, Bo? I mean, would that have helped you at all? It's a little more. I mean, it didn't grab me.
Thing. What sets Civilization? I know that Civilization is not real time, but let's pretend like it is. Okay, let's pretend like Civilization is a real time strategy game. Okay.
Yeah.
What sets it apart from Supremacy is that you have so many other things that you can be working on, so many innovations. And you see this too with modern games like XCOM and stuff like that. Like you can research a bunch of different things. You can take a bunch of different paths to victory. And it seemed to me that in this game, you're just out to raise crops, to make soldiers, to take over planets. And I don't know. I mean, to me, that's just not enough to make a compelling experience.
It's a game out of time, that's for sure. And there's part of me that's real impressed with this game, given when it was made, and the fact that I was slightly coming to grips with it. I mean, this is one of those games where I almost can come to grips. I came an ace of. I grossly underestimated the amount of troops I needed almost every time until my last game, and inevitably the other guy would just overwhelm me. And my stuff would break. But I having watched Life School's video a few times, I understand that I need to start making troops a lot earlier and making them a lot better. Because I had plenty of Rambos walking around, too. They go out there and get slaughtered. You know what I mean? You need, the better armor, the better weapons. But I didn't know. And there's, once you get used to where everything's at, and you've played it a few times, I can appreciate what this game is. And I can also appreciate it for when it came out. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this game. I'm not giving this game a bad review. I'm giving it a good review. It's just not the kind of game that I enjoy. It's too much like work for me. And this game was, not only was it too much like work, but it was also hectic work. I felt like those guys that spin the plates on the sticks. You know what I mean? I had 5 or 6 plates going, and then all of a sudden they were falling everywhere. I couldn't keep up with these suckers. And so that was it. You get 4. It's funny. This is a weird one. You get 4 save points you can use during the game for whatever reason, and so make sure you know when you want to save. There are screens that tell you, in case you look at the planet thing, I'm like, what am I looking at here? Since the planets are lined up, you'll go to the next planet, and then you've got a screen that tells you what planets you own, what planets the other guy owns, and then the planets that are remaining that are unclaimed. And like Bo said, when you go to a planet and you've managed to win the planet, it'll turn green, and then it will show up on your good planet side. You've taken it from the bad guy. Now, he can take stuff back. That's for sure. And I will say also, I did not even attempt the other levels of difficulty. I'm guessing you didn't either, did you?
No. Gosh, no.
So how do you rate this then, Bo? I mean, where do you put this? I know it's not your favorite.
If you're a fan of the genre, to use a trite phrase, You'll probably love this. If you love games with icons instead of words, if you're down with Settlers, you know, go for it, man. But I need something more to do than just, you know, again, raise food for farms, or I mean for soldiers to go and take over other planets. That's the point of the game. The game sets out to do something and it accomplishes it. And I actually don't think the UI is that bad once you come to grips with it. It's just that you've got to put in, there's a significant learning curve, I would say, to this game, that a tutorial, or at least a, hey, it looks, I mean, I just don't understand how people back in the day, 30 years ago, 35 years ago now, weren't like, man, you know what would be great is when you first start playing the game, maybe teach the person playing the game how to play the game a little bit. Like, hey, see that thing over there? Click on that. What that does is this. I mean, we're talking basic tutorial stuff that just was not present in games back then. And so anyway, I would probably rate this game a high B. It's just a game that is not in my genre.
It's funny listening to Lysko talk with the game. Aside from, there's a great story there where he accidentally formatted his buddy's copy of this.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, that was the end of that friendship.
Yeah, but he mentions that he got this and took it home and played it, and he didn't have any docs. He's figured it out. I think people had a lot more time. That's something else we don't have. And we have we have a million games. Someone might have this game.
That's right.
So that goes a long way when you don't have a bunch of a selection on it. But overall, just to summarize my feelings on it, it's another one of these games that I was scared to death when we started it. And then at the end of it, I was only slightly afraid. I wasn't totally afraid because I felt like I had a decent – that's not true. I felt like I had a probably slightly below average grasp of what I was doing. I knew enough to be dangerous, but some of the minutiae – and I got confused too on where I had – one of the things you could do to help your confusion is to rename stuff to make it make sense to you, you know, and I couldn't do that. So that was a kick in the pants that you know, if you can't do that, that made me get a lot more confused about where stuff was because you've got a big screen that's got where everything is. All the stuff you've got on it, but it doesn't tell you necessarily where it's at. So, you
know, here in the chat, we've got Real Retro Dude, he's a real great guy. We've met him in person before when he was here visiting from Germany. He wrote the patch for this, so he is indirectly responsible for all of your misery, Aaron. I'm sorry.
Well, he's also responsible for being able to play it easily.
That's true. You know? That's true.
So thank you. In fact, Real Retro Dude, we're going to talk to him sometime in the not too distant future because he did a ton of these WHD loads and. Good Lord, thank you very much. We should have said it before, but we appreciate all you've done for the community. Anyway, to close shop on this, in my eyes, I think it's probably a pretty good game. It's not my cup of tea, but if I was forced to play a game like this one's not too bad at all. You probably are asking yourself, how did this rate? Because it is an interesting thing to think about. The people over at Lemon give this an 8.19, so they're very high on it. The lower score, 84%. Moby gave it a 7.3 out of 10. So the magazines were sort of in your B range boat, which is sort of what you said. ACAR gave it 93, Amiga Action 82, Amiga Format 90. The Joker, 83, so you know it's gold. CU Amiga, a 93. Dator Magazine gave it 9 out of 10. And the one gave it 72%. Your average rating, 86. I'd call that a decent B boat. Did we get any Discord action on this one?
We did. The Lord himself weighed in. Level Lord writes, Supremacy, a great early strategy game on the Amiga and C64. Gameplay and graphics are very good compared to other games in the genre at the time, but not very challenging, including the hardest enemy. Could be finished in one sitting. My score is 7 out of 10. So obviously the Lord is playing on a different field than you and I are.
I will give Level Lord his due. He's a very cerebral fellow.
Yes.
And he is someone who attacks these sorts of games. And he probably ate this one for breakfast. This is probably beneath his gaze, you know. But for the rest of us, it was well above the gays. Did you get anybody else take a chance this week?
That's the only one this week.
I didn't think we'd get a single one, if I'm honest. I was surprised we got any, because this is the kind of game where people vote for it, but they don't necessarily come out to give it a whirl. I looked on eBay Boat for this one, and it's funny. This is a funny thing to me. So you can get Supremacy is going for $60-$70 over in the UK. All right, but if you want to get Overlord, I saw a box copy go for $10 all the way up to say $26. So and Overlord's also got a better box, and it's got a better name. So if you're looking to pick this up, that might be the way to go. One more thing I want to touch on before we take this into the house is we mentioned that this thing had a release on the NES, and you mentioned that you'd had a quick look at it. Any thoughts?
They do help you a lot with the cursor. Instead of giving you full control over the cursor, you still have a cursor on the screen, but the hand kind of moves by itself. So it improves they did go a little ways to improve the UI. I thought graphically it was on par with the C64 version. Still didn't look anything like the Amiga version. So why you would want to play this on the NES, you wouldn't want to unless it was the only console you had. But it's still cool to see games like this. A lot of people say, like Doug is somebody that always says, I never played console games because they were too simplistic. But I mean, the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Supremacy, there were Nobunaga's Ambition. There were tons of strategy games on the Nintendo. They just weren't the most popular games because they're hard to control with the D-pad.
I avoided all those games like the Plague Boat that you mentioned there. So,
yeah.
I mean, I would never know if they were complex strategy games because I remember Brent rented one of those one time. I was like, this sounds pretty cool. It was not cool. I just sat there scratching my head wondering what was going on. But yeah, the NES version, I think it looks more action-packed than this looks like an arcade game here, this part.
Like I said, I basically just kind of looked at the menus of the when you're on the Starbase. I didn't get really far into it. I didn't get hardly into it, but I did want to fire it up because it was on the NES and I wanted to give it a little bit of credit, but I probably should have done more.
Well, if you're a console kid or you feel frog, you want to see how it stands up, it'd be an interesting thing to try. But I think we could take this thing and put it to bed. If this is the kind of game that you're into, then this might be the kind of game that you're into.
Welcome to Retro Rewind. I'm your host, British Jones. Whether you're into the Amiga, Commodore 64, or Tiger floral print speed suits, Retro Rewind has all you need from the friendly hosers of the Great White North. Looking to upgrade your Amiga? Check out the Amiga OS 3.2.2 Kickstart ROM for just $18. Or maybe you need a C64 or C128 diagnostic harness. Grab one while they're hot. Don't miss our best sellers like the 1541 Transit Card for just $1, or the incredible Amiga Coin Cell Battery Adapter. Shop now at Retro Rewind Limited and bring your classic computers back to life. Retro Rewind Limited. Frank's the man.
Amiga News.
All right. Our first news story, Aaron, is that the team over at Amiga Addict, they published a special edition. This is not your typical issue of Amiga Addict. They've actually done an Amiga format tribute to pay tribute to the Amiga's 40th anniversary. Looks like you got to adjust your tracking there on your browser.
The VCR's getting old, man.
Exactly. This just dropped, and of course, with the 40th anniversary of the Amiga coming up, Aaron, what do you think about this Amiga format issue?
Well, I did catch wind of this. I think it's cute. It's a cute idea. I think it's fine. Those guys are clever over there. I think they'll move a lot of magazines, Boat. Let's face facts. And that's the bottom line, especially in today's day and age, where getting anything to move is tough. So, but these guys have a devoted following. They always come up with some cool angles and stuff. So I'm sure it'll be a good book, Boat. I like the cover. It looks good.
Coming up next, there is a new Arkanoid type game for the Amiga 1200 and above. If there's any game type that demands a high dollar Amiga, it's Arkanoid. Get ready for callback, Aaron. This game, it says it's a fast-paced Arkanoid-style action game. This comes to us from Neil over at Indie Retro News. Take control of the power handle and keep the power balls in circulation. So
Take
there's
control of the power handle.
That's
like
right.
it.
There's 20 in-game music tracks, which is cool. I like that. It's built for the Amiga 1200, but it's also available for a PC and Mac via a packaged FSUAE emulator. So it's a one-click EXE company-style release. This looks interesting. I'm not a big fan of the black and white color scheme. I wish there was more color in there. Does that bother you, Aaron, or do you dig it?
Well, having not played the game, it's hard. I don't aesthetically. No, I don't like it personally. I like a bunch of color. I don't know what to tell you, but I mean, some games thrive with the black and white, and some games work better under it. So, and this may be one of those games. I mean, it looks fine. It looks good, but you never know.
If you're feeling froggy, this game is for sale for €15. So there you go.
Holy
yeah.
smokes.
Steep price for a black and white Arkanoid. Aaron, it's time to move on to a real story. Amiga 40 is going on right now in Germany, and we know people that are there. Mitsuyama and Edvin Helland are both there. They're flatmating over there. Stu, my buddy Stu Cambridge, is over there. We've got Pixels at Dawn is there. Everybody who's anybody. Amiga Bill, of course. Aaron, you and I, not quite cool enough for the Amiga 40 celebration.
They probably love to get you over there, Bo, to get involved in
yeah,
that.
Actually, Stu and Tony wanted me to go over there, but since Eep and I are taking a trip to the UK in January, it was just a little bit too much. So I had to give this one a miss.
You're plenty cool.
Well,
and don't worry, the uncool people will be back here holding down the fort where you're gone.
Yeah. So anyway, we wish those guys well. Next week, I'm sure we'll have a lot more to report on as far as photos and videos and things like that. But have a good time, guys. We're thinking of you back here in West Virginia.
Absolutely. Good luck. And I'm sure it'll be a big success, but
Aaron, our next story is one that surprises and delights.
Yeah.
That's right. Hypersports, which is one of my favorite games, is making an appearance thanks to the one, the only JOTD. So this is hot on the heels of his track and field conversion. Now we've got Hypersports. I can't wait. This is it looks like says I think that it is not quite complete. The music is not done yet, but it is getting there, and I can't wait to play this thing, especially at Amigathon. We always have a real fun time with these games at Amigathon.
I love Hypersports. It's great. The Brent's a big fan too. Mm-hmm. He's great at this game.
Oh yeah,
he's great at all the.
He's a button
games.
Masher supreme.
He is.
That's what.
Yeah, he can smash.
Mm-hmm.
But this is great. Listen, it's gold. JOTD never disappoints. I love that man. He's a great man. He's done a lot for the Amiga and us personally because he keeps porting stuff over that we like.
Right.
Keep it coming, brother.
Now, on the other side of the coin, here's one for Level Lord. Axion, a new 3D strategic game for the Amiga, is in development, and it's marked high-end only.
Oh, you know what that means. Oh, here it is. The 6860 at 100 megahertz or higher, 10 meg memory, OS 3.x. Holy smokes.
This is an experimental 3D tactical strategy game set against the backdrop of deep space.
Oh man,
I can barely make it through that sentence.
You got it.
Yeah, it runs on both classic Amigas and modern PowerPC base, such as the Amiga 4. Or OS 4.1 and MorphOS. It says that you don't need hardware acceleration; it just needs raw CPU power, brother. That's it. What do you think about this one, Aaron?
It looks interesting. It's look at all the scope, the movement,
there's a lot of scaling.
That's right. It's just a dandy looking game. I love space fighting games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so keen on the strategy portion, but it might be good. But yeah, it looks good. Throw those people a bone, I guess, the big people.
Right. So anyway, you can check that out over on Indie Retro News. I'm going to see if there is a price on this one. It looks like this is a name your own price deal. So pick that up if you've got the jack to run it. Here in our next story, there is a 3D printable Amiga tank mouse now available over at Printables. You have a tank mouse. You got one of those. Explain the story of how you got your tank mouse, Aaron.
I got 2 of these actually. Right here it is. I use it it's my everyday machine. This is the this was the Kickstarter.
Oh, right. The Kickstarter.
I've got a I never do the Kickstarters, but I've got the 1000 over here. And I was like, I've got a whole drawer of tank mice, the corded ones. They're old. And you can do that mod where you can put a laser in them, but like, why not just get this and not mod them? And so this has been a good mouse. I use it for the Mister, and it gives me that Amiga-like feel with the laser. So I like it. But this looks pretty good, too. I like the color scheme that they've got on this thing. But what's the scoop on this thing?
It's free to download. If you've got a 3D printer, you can print yourself one. And it also comes with a scroll wheel. So pretty awesome stuff. Wheel. Yeah. Of course, you also need all the electronics inside of it as well. You can't just 3D print the PCB, unfortunately. So
you download you're the 3D print guy. Help me out here. You
download the STL, you print out the shell, and then you purchase a PCB of a mouse with a scroll wheel, and then you basically install that into this particular object. And that's how you get yourself your tank mouse.
Looks like the innards are $13 US.
Okay,
that's not bad. I mean, listen, I was expecting it to be 3 times that.
Right.
You know what I mean? But so that's not bad. So you can print this in any color you wanted.
Exactly. And finally, Aaron, our last news story of the week. This is not Amiga related, but I wanted to talk to you about it. The headline is, "We brought the rivalry to an end. Atari reveals the Intellivision Sprint." So this thing is a new Intellivision, looks to be full size. It's got the 2 controllers. I don't know if the controllers are wireless. Yeah, they're wireless. They're wireless and rechargeable. There are overlays for every game included, and I believe that there are 45 games included. So that's 45 overlays that come with this thing. That is super impressive. Yeah, Aaron, I'm not often tempted by these new consoles, but I love me some Intellivision, and having the option of an HDMI wireless controller with the overlays, with the original controllers. Plus, it's got baseball, and that's all you need. Aaron, this is one I may be picking up. What about you?
I've got 2 Intellivisions and a non-working Intellivision 2. Okay, so that with all that said, and I own a bunch of games, as you know, with the overlays in the box. Yeah. Because these games, you can get them pretty cheap. Yeah. With all that said, a wireless version of the controller would be sweet, because the wires on the originals were not that good. I like the fact that it's got all these games, that they were smart to put the overlays in. Okay. Here's the downs. I was ready. I was on board. I'm ready to put the money down. I see 2 problems. And one of them is minor and one of them is major. Okay. The minor problem is this sucker's $150 US. That's $50 too much, frankly. But wireless controllers, but I mean, you're pushing it. $150 for this, that's a lot. But the big problem I see with this thing, it does, as far as I can tell, and it's not mentioned anywhere, it does not have a cartridge slot. And despite the fact this comes with 45 games, it doesn't come with all the good games. It comes with some of the good games. It got some of the bad games. I want to play all the games on it. So if I knew this thing had a cartridge slot or an SD card or a gimmick, you know what I mean? Yeah. I would be, even $150, I'd be on board, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not the Intellivision. Wrong. The people have misjudged this thing since Jump Street. It's got tons of good, unique games that you just can't see anywhere else. And I would love to have it. But, like, for example, I'm looking down the list. They don't have Dreadnought Factor on there. They don't have Prototype on there.
It says that it comes with a USB port, and it says that can be used to play additional games. So I believe that what you're asking for is granted.
The thing that I saw I saw that, but it said additional games for sale.
So, well, yeah. Well, you can buy additional games, but I'm sure that if this thing has a USB port, before too long, somebody's going to do a little bit of the old hacky, or maybe you don't even have to do the hacky. You can just put a ROM on a USB stick and put it in there. You never know.
Well, this is one of those I'm going to wait and let some other sucker do the beta testing on it.
This is a wait and see.
But me and you, I knew you would be down because we're both big fans of television. Now, if they could, I like to see a ColecoVision with the wireless controls and whatnot. That wouldn't be too bad either. Something along the same lines as this, just for the Coleco. So that'd be fun too. But yes, I'm on board. I'm on board big time, Bode.
Well, Aaron, that's going to do it for this week's Amiga News. What do we got coming up on the show next week?
Brace yourself, Bode. Let's find out.
Cyberpunks.
Cyberpunks.
This is another Core Design game, Aaron. Core Design, they're up and down like a yo-yo. We're gonna have to see what Cyberpunks awaits us.
Have we not played all their games yet? My God,
not yet.
We've played dozens of Core games. I've never heard of this game. Okay, anything that doesn't require me to go through menu after menu, I'm down.
Yeah, me too. And as always, if you like the show and you want to support us, head on over to patreon.com/Amigos Podcast. We sure would appreciate your support. And we will see you next week. Until then, adios.
Amigos is made possible by contributions from listeners like you. Patreon supporters help choose the games we play, receive exclusive magnets, and get access to the Amigos Retro Gaming Discord server. Visit patreon.com/Amigos Podcast if you'd like to support the show and join our community.